from where? No, it's too expensive. So he comes in when he can, and so we're trying to work it out to where we can intersect. I want to get him to Dallas where we can like spend a week together making some videos. So maybe in the future that won't happen because I think. Right? Exactly. It'd be fun. We could both dress as Sebastian and like just make out or something. We would break the internet. And Brandon would be like, "This is for the character, right?" Totally. Connor, just speak to me like me. Gayest thing I've ever said. Yes, you.
What inspired you to get into voice acting?
I've been acting since I was about 9 years old. And on stage, my speech therapist had ties to the theater, and she encouraged me to go find your voice on stage because it's a great way. She realized that if I could memorize lines, which I had a gift for, the stutter tended to disappear if I was speaking from a pre-prepared speech or a line. So she was like, "You need to be on stage," and she had ties to the theater, the little children's theater. So I got on stage. My very first role was as the wise old rocking horse in the Velveteen Rabbit. On stage, I was nervous as all hell, and I loved every second of it, and I became addicted to acting, and I did it all my life until my early 20s when I decided it was time to kind of the work had kind of dried up, and it was hard to make a living as a stage actor. I'd done a little bit of film, mostly local commercials and stuff like that, nothing glamorous. And so I thought, well, it was fun while it lasted, but now I need to be an adult, whatever the hell that is, and get a job, whatever the hell that is. 9 to 5 that pays the bills and has, benefits package and all that stuff. So I had a career in marketing for a number of years that I just kind of fell into. It wasn't my area of study. I just knew somebody that I worked for them as I was using my voice because I used to answer their phones and be like, "Thank you for calling FAM. How can I, route your call?" And they were like, "Ooh, that voice good." And so I did that for a couple of years. And I'm like, "Do you want to be an account manager? Because we need someone." I'm like, "Is that how that happens? Okay." Just that kind of office, though. They were like, "We like the cutting edge Jim. You should come and work on this account." So I, for like 7 years, did marketing badly, but it paid the bills. And then it just so happened that a friend of mine worked at Funimation. I knew Funimation very well because Dragon Ball. I mean, that's the house that Dragon Ball built, and they were local in Dallas. So I thought, well, that's really cool. And this buddy of mine, we'd run in the same circles for a couple of years. We were comic book nerds together, and I liked him, and I thought he had the coolest job in the world. He directed and sometimes acted for them, and I was like, "That's fucking cool, dude. That's good on you. That's really fun, man. I miss acting sometimes, but never again. I just can't." And then he just out of the blue called me up one day and was like, "Hey man, I got this, I'm working on this show, and I think you'd be great for one of the parts. I'd like you to come in and audition for it." And I was like, "No." It was terrifying. I'm like, I haven't acted in years, and I'm voice acting. I've never been on mic. I have no idea what the techniques are. It's not fair for me to come in. Like, surely there's a talent pool out there, people that do this for a living that are better to choose from than some schmuck. Who hasn't been on, whatever. And so he just said, "Okay, whatever." But luckily for me, Chris Bevins is who this was, he would not take no for an answer and kept calling me every single day for 2 weeks, acting as though we hadn't had this conversation. "Hey, I got this show, and I think you'd be great for one of the parts. You want to come in maybe on Sunday?" And like, "No, I can't, whatever." And he steadily got darker and darker and more threatening as I continued saying no until what started as, "Hey, I got this show. You should totally come and try it for it. I think it'll be a blast." Over 2 weeks became, "Come in, I'm going to break your goddamn face." And I was like, and he was like, "Look, here's the thing. You're not going to get the part. True story. You're just going to come in, and look, it's actually better if you suck, because then I can cast the person I want to cast without getting shit from my line producer who's mad at me for always using the same people. So I can use your shitty audition as a way to tell my line producer, this is why I don't hire other actors. Everyone else in Dallas sucks." And I'm like, "Oh, I can suck. I can do that." He's like, "Yeah, come in. It'll be like 4 hours of your day, and then we'll go out for drinks, we'll laugh, and we'll never speak of this again." I'm like, what the hell, it'll be an experience. I'll get to see Funimation and, see the inner workings and maybe meet a couple of voice actors that I knew and grew up loving. And so I go up on a Sunday. I was nervous as hell. It was like 4 hours, and it was 4 hours of me learning how to read a dub script, which is a very different looking animal than other types of script because there's a lot of technical jargon that you have to quickly unravel. And there's timing constraints. You have to be aware of the time code and the animation. So the line, because what you're saying, like, as an actor, you look at a line, and the line is, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And depending on the circumstances the director gives you, that line can come out a number of ways. But you have to lock down a read and have to make sure that it actually fits the flaps. Because if I want to say, "What the hell's wrong with you?" it doesn't fit the flaps if the flaps will only support "what the hell is wrong with you." So you have to really learn how to take all your acting chops and squeeze them into this funnel. So that so it's like all my acting chops into this tiny little thing so that this one word could come out and fit and still sound like something a person would say in that circumstance. And it was terrifying. This is why it took so long. And I stepped out of the booth after 4 hours, confident that I had been as shitty as he wanted me to be, and to make his case to his line producer. And he threw a bunch of NDAs at me, non-disclosure agreements, because I've been working with animation that hadn't been released in the States yet, and so I have to sign stuff agreeing on I won't talk about it or post online about it, because the Japanese licensors are really, really pissed about that kind of thing. And I made some glib comment like, "How do you people at Funimation get anything done if it takes you 4 hours to audition every single part?" I come from a stage background where it's like you get like a minute and a half, 2, and then you're gone, and then that's it. That's an audition, and it's film too. It's like auditions? What, 4 hours? How do you have this kind of time? This is the most inefficient company ever. And he's like, "Oh, it didn't. It took 10 minutes to audition you. We've actually just been recording the first 6 episodes, and you just signed a contract. Fuck you, you're an actor now. Be here next Sunday." On the weekends and after school, after work on back in the day when they had a more open schedule at the studios, long in the wilderness years, and I loved it. I thought it was really fulfilling, and I got to play some really cool characters. The more I did, other directors up there were like, "Oh, hey, Bevan says you're really good. Can I try you on this? Oh, this person," and I just started getting to do more and more because I met more people, and just realized I kind of had a knack for it. I also took a shit ton of classes. I was like, okay, I'm an actor now, a voice actor. I need to learn everything I can learn about voice acting because I've never touched it before. I've always been every other kind of acting but voice, but a voice I never focused on. So I took classes and classes and classes and would try to bring everything I learned to the booth, which got me more work. And within a couple of years, it was no longer a side gig. They said to me, if you want to go full time and quit your job, you will be working up here every day. And I was like, really? So I made the huge leap to say to the people that had been kind enough to hire me into the marketing position, where I've been working for years, I'm like, "Hey guys, thank you for all the opportunity, but peace out, I'm gonna go be an actor." Which to them just sounded stupid. They were like, "Good luck with that." And I'm like, "I know, I'll probably be back here asking for a janitor job in a year. But hey, I gotta try, I'll never know." And so I did, one of the few times I've been really brave in my life, I just kind of threw caution to the wind and became a voice actor full time, and then started writing for Funimation shortly after that, directing, just because the more you do, the more you get to do, especially in the old days where the structure was a little looser and we had more time to play with things. It's changed significantly since the advent of simuldubs. But, so I just got in, I was inspired by someone else who basically tricked me to become a voice actor because he heard something in my voice that I didn't, and I was wise enough, or not necessarily wise enough, dumb enough to listen to him. And here I am today. If you told me 15 years ago when that happened that I'd be doing this now, I'd be talking, I'd be like, "You're fucking crazy. There's no way in hell." And but no, cool. This is what I do. This is what I do. See, Mom? I told you it'd be okay. So, yeah. Thank you. What do you want?
First of all, that show that was what, Samurai?
Show I did was Samurai 7. I played Rikichi, the farmer who goes out, one of the farmers that goes out and hires a samurai to save their village. The other person in that show with me, one of the other farmers, was Lucy Christian.
Actually, my question is, I'm not sure I've ever heard the reason before, but why did you choose Jane Michael Tatum?
Well, my first name is John. I've never gone by it. In my family, we tend to go by our middle names. I don't know why, it's a weird tradition. But, so Michael is a very common name. Slightly less common is John. And Tatum, where I am from, is a fairly common name as well. So if you go to Dallas and you look up Michael Tatums, you will find 30 of us. If you look up John Michael Tatum, you will find 12 of us. No relation whatsoever, just people. When I got these glasses, it's a quick side story. The day I went in to get these glasses, I chose these frames, had my eye exam, got and then they're just like, "Oh, come back in an hour." It was one of those sorts of places. So I went and had lunch, came back, and there had been a shift change. So the guy that was helping me before has now been replaced by someone else. And I was like, oh, hey, John Michael Tatum, I came here an hour ago to get my glasses. Oh, yeah, cool. He runs back behind the little curtain, comes out with a package of stuff to give me my glasses. Frames, I put them on, and I can't see out of them worth a damn. And I'm like, oh, God, there's no way. Like, I know sometimes it takes a little while to, acclimate to a new prescription, but there's no way I can't even walk out of here with these on. Like, I'll bump into something. And he was like, oh, okay, well, let me go check it out. And so he disappears behind the curtain. And then I notice there's some other guy over here, roughly the same age as me, having a similar problem. I can just tell from the body language, he's like, ugh. And his guy is like, ugh. And so he goes behind the curtain, and they both the reps come back out, and they both come over to him and talk for a minute, and like with this weird thing, and they all then stop and look over at me. And I'm like, what the hell's going on, guys? I'm like, I just figured their like lens calipers were off or something, and they were just fucking up everyone's prescriptions. Turns out that gentleman was named John Michael Tatum, had come there at the same time, and had picked the same goddamn frames. So, that's just to give you an idea of how common the name is in Dallas Fort Worth. So good luck, stalkers. But, so when I started on Samurai 7, the lead in that show was R. Bruce Elliott, his first initial R, and he's a dear friend, he's this wonderful actor. He was also the first actor on the show that I got to know really well because he was local, and I would frequently come in after he had recorded, so he'd be like, oh, hey, it's good to see you. You're doing wonderful work. I heard you other than he was really supportive and kind to me, the new kid. And so I just took a shine to him, and he was just this lovely, guy. And when Bevins asked me, he's like, hey, what do you want to be credited as in like the first 6 episodes? They're about to come out on DVD, we gotta have something. I was like, I don't know, Michael Tatum, that's such a common name here. How about J. Michael Tatum? That sounds fancy. Then it can be like R. Bruce Elliott and J. Michael Tatum. I didn't fucking know it was gonna be a thing. This is my one role I was gonna have and be like, look, this one time 30 years ago I was in an anime. Like, it was like, I had no idea that was going to be what I did for a living forever. So it became J. Michael Tatum because that's how I got credited forever. Like, people say, hey Jay, and I'm like, it's so weird to hear people say that because it's not even my name. Like, J is the initial for John. When people call me John Tatum, I think they're like creditors. Like, John, I'm like, or when they say John Michael is when I'm in trouble with my family. Like when they're my grandparents, John Michael? Oh shit, I fucked up anyway. So that is where J. Michael Tatum came from. It was kind of, I got the idea indirectly from R. Bruce Elliott, who was a dear man on my first show, the lead in the first show I was in. And then just because Michael Tatum, John Michael Tatum, was common enough that two of us fucking got the same glasses on the same day. So I was like, clearly, I should have just gone with like Zanzibar's and Drippy or something. And that'd have been my stage name. Yes, you.
So I was looking through your filmography and I found out that you're on almost like every one of my favorite shows. But the one I'm most interested
Lucky me.
What I'm most interested in behind the scenes is Pop Team Epic.
Pop Team Epic, what do you want to know? Because I don't fucking know. I've watched the show, I've been in, I'm like, no idea what's going on. I think it's hysterically funny. It's like, I don't know, I compare it to like a Robot Chicken, like a surrealist, LSD-laden Robot Chicken, where it's just like, let's just make something really weird and odd, and it's really fun to do because, I was on the one episode, and it's short, so like it's an hour of recording, and then you're done. And so it's like, oh, cool, and then it airs like 6 weeks later, you're like, what the fuck was I in? What the hell? We watched it. When our episode came on, I was with Monica Rial at a convention, and we went to her room and opened a bottle of wine, and we're like, let's watch our episode of Pop Team Epic, guys, it'll be great. And we watched it laughing our asses going, I have no idea what's happening. This is so awesome. I love it because, and I thought, erroneously, that I could watch the rest of it and have some kind of idea. No, I just got more confused. Which I love, because I love weird stuff. I love watching something that makes me go, the fuck? That's kind of that's my philosophy of life. Like, if I'm not going, the fuck, something's wrong. I think those words are going to be on my tombstone. Right next to my father's, because my father's tombstone will read, what the fuck are you looking at? But yeah, so I love it. It was just fun to do, especially because you knew I'm like, oh, cool. You know, it's basically that episode is like 2 episodes in one, the same. And one is where we're dudes, and then one is with women. And so I got to see Monica do hers, and was like, I got to do that boy. Okay, I got to do this or whatever. And so we just got to kind of play with each other and make fun of each other in a way, like, oh, that's how Monica would say, or that's how so and so would say it. And so I love that kind of stuff. And Chris George, who was the director, is also the director of Steins Gate Zero, which is the show that's tearing my fucking heart out right now, but that I love. And it's like, it's night and day. When we're recording that show, it's like everyone, the lights are low, we're like, are you okay? Okay. Tatum's crying and beating the wall with his fist again. Quick, bring up videos of French bulldogs. Tatum's gonna kill himself before the show's out. Oh my God, he's just going through hell. And, but then, something like Pop Team Epic or Black Clover, which he also directs, is so much more fun and big and broad, and so it's just a little more, it's like a vacation. It's the Hot Springs episode we'll never get in Star Who's next? Someone who hasn't been asked. Yes, you with the ears. We all have ears. The cat, you with the face and the body and the brain in your hand and clothes. Yes, yes. Oh, what are you trying to jinx me? Every con is a little unique. I mean, there's certain facets of it that I'm very used to, that I'm like, oh yeah, this is a known quantity, I know this, but every con is every con offers something new. I think every day of your life, be it a con or just going to work that you know really well, can be different for you if you're kind of alive to like the subtle differences. I'm a big believer in just kind of making my own fun. Like, I don't know, not to get all philosophical and weird, but now he says it. But, I think life is too short to wait to be happy or to be interested. I think you have to kind of create your own happiness and create your own fun. And so I kind of go through life, what the French philosopher Guy Debord called tatum, where you just kind of let yourself get swept away by uncertainty and be like, let's see what happens. And like he and his French cohorts would do it by getting really drunk and just walking through a city, which can be quite an adventure. Done that at a few cons. I don't recommend it, by the way, kids, be responsible. But it's weird. Like every time I come to a con, I think, oh, I know what's going to happen. And every time, if I'm alive to it, new stuff happens. Like I've never been in a room like this, talking to a bunch of people. Like, and this feels like I'm doing like a one-man show, and it's delightful. Never done it before. Thank you. I'll take it. I love it. And I hope that's true of everyone that comes to a con. Like you, this is your first con, and I hope 18 cons from now, by this time next year, that you can still say every time everyone's a new experience, you meet new people. It's the best thing about going to cons for me as a voice actor is because it's a kind of lonely profession. We don't work off of each other in the booth typically. There isn't time. We all record in isolation from each other. We may leave each other little bombs in the booth, like maybe Monica recorded something that's going to make me laugh because I'll hear it in my pre-roll when I come in the next day to do my part. But we don't work together. We see each other at cons or at home if we're friends. Like Monica doesn't live that far from me, so we hang out. Jamie, Marky, and I are best friends, that kind of thing. But it's the process itself is rather lonely. So when we come to conventions and we actually get to meet other actors or hang out with other actors and talk with other actors to you guys about what we do, it kind of makes it feel real. And also, my God, I have friends all over the planet now because of this gig. I know people in Europe, I know people in Canada, I know people everywhere, in every state of the US. How would I have ever done that otherwise? Unless I, gotten in my car and just been like, hey, you, which doesn't happen. So it gives me this wonderful entree to meet people and kind of accumulate experiences, which I'm all about. I think life, you should go through life collecting experiences of all kinds, good, bad, all of it. It's all grist as well, especially when you're an artist, or an actor, or a writer. All experiences, warts and all, can help you. So you can, somebody once told me, and I kind of live by this now, like I can survive anything if it gives me a story. And so I can be in the thick of the worst experience of my life and just think to myself, if this will give me a story, it's going to be okay. It gives me a light at the end of the tunnel. So I can go through all sorts of crazy experiences knowing that, nothing else, I'm adding it to my collection of perspectives. Deep shit, guys. Snowman! Everyone's like, who the fuck is he talking to? Is this your coke dealer? No, he's not my coke dealer. I realized in retrospect it was a terrible nickname to give you 3, 4, 5 years ago. But, hi baby, how are you, Ryan?
Still good.
Did you bring the mead? I'm kidding. Oh, he did. Yes, the answer is yes. What's up, baby?
My question will actually wait until the what the fuck panel. But if you need more, answer her.
Okay, what? Yes? Yes? What?
I just wanted to let you know that she said yes.
Oh, no, were you sitting there the whole time? You fucking asshole! You put me in that position. You're like, how do I ask her out? I didn't know she was sitting right next to you. Oh God, okay, so it would have been pretty fucking epic if she had been. Like, damn, you played it well. This one's a keeper. Be careful when she asks you advice that she's not talking about the person next to you. That's all. Congratulations, the artist that you keep. I take after my dad. My God, I got 30 more minutes. What the hell am I going to talk about? Yes.
I want to hear Sebastian's catchphrases.
Again? Sebastian's catchphrase in French? You are a needy motherfucker. Someone at a panel I did a couple weeks ago at a con, she stands up and she's like, I have a question. I want you to tell me 3 things about yourself. Like, tell me your favorite color, your favorite movie, and your favorite animal. But I want you to answer each one and explain each one in a different voice. And I was like, the fuck, is anyone writing this down? Jesus Christ. Oh, what is Sebastian's catchphrase in French? I'm gonna look it up. Fuck it up. Siri. Like, I don't know.
Tatum, stop asking me weird questions.
Tatum, no one cares about you.
Wow.
That's what Siri is. I have Siri on sassy mode. How would the French say it? Because it's an odd.
So wait, serious acting mode. I mean, she sounds like this.
Why you gotta bring him up every panel? Leave him alone. He doesn't want you. It is fun. Did someone just say who's big? We shouldn't hang out for him.
This feels like a time
Je suis simplement un sacré mortre d'orité. Which actually translates literally to like, I am simply one hell of a concierge. Because the French don't have a word for butler. It's not a French word, so they're like maître d'hôtel, which like maitre d' hotel. Je suis simplement un sacré mortre d'orité. Doesn't have quite the ring to it, does it? It's fucking French Sebastian, can you imagine? Oui, mon très. Yes, you.
Okay, so I was wondering about what you thought about your time as Sir.
Borderlands 2, Sir Hammerlock, and several other things besides Sir Hammerlock. Man, I love Sir H. He's really fun. I was called in to play Sir Hammerlock, and when I showed up to Gearbox, the voice stuff was being recorded by Gearbox out at Okatron, which is Chris Sabat's studio. Chris Sabat, and everyone else in Dragon Ball. He has his own studio, and it's one of the best in the biz. And they called me in, and they were like, hey, this is the game, and we want you to play Sir Hammerlock. Video game recording is different because you don't have anything to work off of but the script. And the scripts can sometimes be very different looking as well because it's just your lines. You don't get to see the other lines around it. The director has to give you context. It almost looks like audition someplace. It's just you. And so I was recording, and off of concept art, he looked very, very different than he wound up looking. This was very early days. He looked more like Matt Smith's doctor, which is really cool. I walked in and they're like, so how do we say this? I don't want to like get you in your head about this performance, but we're kind of looking for something. Do you know Doctor Who at all? I'm like, whatever you're about to ask me, I'm talking about this. And they laughed, and we had a good rapport. And I just started, doing the voice. And I just sort of came out, and the lines sort of suggested themselves because that's still how he sort of talked. He was a foppish sort of, but adventurous, one of those remittance British men who has all this money and just uses to go and shoot things out in the outback. And I thought it was really funny. He only had a handful of lines. He was only a one-off character that kind of showed up in one or two scenes, and he didn't have much to do, but it was fun to be in a game, and it paid well, so I was happy for the work. But they so enjoyed the voice and what I was doing with him, apparently, that they decided that they kept adding lines, and then they called me back a few days later. We have a little more for Sir Hammerlock to do. And just over the course, it may not have been my performance that inspired that, but it did, I like to take credit when it's not mine. But they said, we're gonna make him a big deal. He's gonna be one of the quest givers. He's gonna be the guy on the trailer. He's gonna have his own DLC. And I was like, what? Okay, which is really cool. And to this day, it's one of my favorite voices to do in public, just because it's a fun fucking voice. And so I'll talk to somebody like, you there? I'd like an order of fries, please. Thank you. It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. No one actually talks like that in the world. We don't want to punch like this. But it works for that character because that's who he is. I also, this is a true story, so the first time I went to a convention in Canada and I had to go through customs and I have to fill out these little forms because you're there on business. Oh, what are you doing? I have to fill out voice actor, which is a weird thing. Everyone asks, what the fuck does that mean? Voice actor. And I had, my customs agent was a youngish guy, and not too hard on the eyes, I must say. And I came up to him and he was like, cool, how long are you here? Cool, what are you doing? He says, here, voice actor. What is, anything I would know? Which is a loaded question. I'm like, I don't fucking know what you know. So I just kind of said, are you a gamer? Because he looked like he might be a gamer. He looked hip. And I was like, are you a gamer? He's like, oh yeah, big time. Do you know Borderlands 2? Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, what do you in Borderlands 2? Like suddenly he was interested, and I was like, I'm Sir Hammerlock. And he goes, no fucking way. Oh my God, you're Sir Hammerlock. Borderlands, you, Sir Hammerlock. Do the voice. When he had a stamp of approval hovering over my passport, if I wasn't a convincing Sir Hammerlock, I'm gonna be fucking shipped back on a plane. You're not coming into my country, you fucking fraud. I knew it. He's probably thinking, oh, this asshole was some, little character that had one line, thinks he's big shit. And I'm like, oh, I'm Sir Hammerlock. He's like, oh my God, really? So in front of all these people in the customs agent booths and all these people behind me, here I am alone with my bags going, hello there, Bolt Hunter. Things need to be shortened by Joe. You're the one to shoot them. And there's this pregnant pause. Well, he looks at me, stamp hovering, and he goes, look at the okay, all right. Sir Hammerlock was very important on international trips, apparently. So, yes, you.
You have an opportunity to work with a lot of stories from different cultures, and your work is amazing across all of them. I fell in love with La Family listening to you. What is your favorite or most notable difference in storytelling techniques from one culture to another?
Oh, what a beautiful question, and thank you for asking it. It's hard to conceive of this, my answer as a favorites one, because I've worked as a writer for about as long as I've been a voice actor. And I've noticed that when adapting a script, say from French into English, the languages are pretty close, but also culturally there's so much crossover that a lot of metaphors, a lot of the higher end figurative speech that doesn't translate obviously in other languages carries over pretty well from languages that are closely related. In fact, a lot of our metaphors come from France or from Germany, and so there's a lot of chances to like, oh, that's fairly simple and straightforward, you know, and even the grammatical structure is the same or similar enough that, you know, if there's a button word at the end of a sentence, it's going to also be, you know, that's also where that word is going to fall naturally grammatically in the English utterance. So you don't have to worry about, you know, saying, you know, having a dun 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 moment with a line that just doesn't fucking hit that same beat. But between Japan and any English-speaking country, there is such a huge vista of separation because these are between, you know, English and Japanese. These are two languages that developed and matured in complete isolation from each other for most of their histories. And so it's not, and this is something that I encounter a lot, that people who don't speak Japanese or